Hello everyone, welcome back to Cloud Exam Ready. So let's continue our series. In this part, we are going to see question number 161 to question number 180. So before starting the video, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. And if you have any doubt, please comment below. So let's get started. Question number 161. A company has a physical tape library to store data backups. The tape library is running out of space. The company needs to extend the tape library's capacity to the AWS cloud. Which AWS service should the company use to meet this requirement? So we have options. Option A, Amazon Elastic Block Storage, which is Amazon EBS. Option B, Amazon S3. Option C, Amazon Elastic File System, which is Amazon EFS. And option D is AWS Storage Gateway. So the correct answer here is option D, which is AWS Storage Gateway. Next, question number 162. A business wishes to downsize its infrastructure in order to save money. At what stages should a business downsize? So here we need to select two options. So the options are A, right size before a migration occurs to the cloud. B, right size continuously after the cloud onboarding process. C, right size when AWS support calls and explains that right sizing is needed. D, right size when seasonal workloads are at its peak. And E, right size after purchasing all the reserve instances. So here we need to select two options. So the correct options are option A, which is right size before a migration occurs to the cloud, and option B, which is right size continuously after the cloud onboarding process. So next, question number 163. AWS budgets may be used for the following purposes. So we have options. Option A, prevent a given user from creating a resource. Option B, sending an alert when the utilization of reserved instances drops below a certain percentage. Option C, set resource limits in AWS accounts to prevent overspending. And option D, split an AWS bill across multiple forms of payment. So the correct answer here is option B, which is send an alert when the utilization of reserve instances drops below a certain percentage. Next, question number 164. An online retail company has seasonal sales spikes several times a year, primarily around holidays. Demand is lower at other times. The company finds it difficult to predict the increasing infrastructure demand for each season. Which advantages of moving to the AWS cloud would most benefit the company? So here we need to select two options. So options are option A, global footprint. Option B, elasticity. Option C, AWS service quotas. Option D, AWS shared responsibility model. And option E is pay as you go pricing. So the correct answer here is, so the problem is the company finds it difficult to predict the increasing infrastructure demand for each season. So here the options are elasticity is first option, which is B, and second is E, which is pay as you go pricing. So these two will be most benefit for the company. Next, question number 165. What are the advantages of unified billing for Amazon Web Services account? So we have options. Option A, access to AWS personal health dashboard. Option B, combined usage volume discounts. Option C, improved account security. And option D is centralized AWS IAM. So what will be the advantage of unified billing for AWS accounts? So the correct answer here is option B, which will be combined usage volume discounts. Next, Question number 166. A corporate wants to connect to AWS from distance office through a private, low latency connection. Which strategy is advised for meeting these requirements? So we have options. Option A, create a VPN tunnel. Option B, connect across the public internet. Option C, use VPC peering to create a connection. And option D is use AWS Direct Connect. So the correct answer here is option D, which is use AWS Direct Connect. So if we establish a direct connect, we can have low latency connectivity, and we can connect from distance also. Next, question number 166. A corporate wants to connect to AWS from a distance office. This one I think we have seen already. Yeah, this is use AWS Direct. Next is question number 167. Which AWS service can be used to turn text into lifelike speech? So we have options. Option A is Amazon Poly. Option B is Amazon Translate. Option C is Amazon Recognition. And option D is Amazon Connect. So this one is simple. The correct answer here is option A, which is Amazon Poly. So Amazon Poly turns text into lifelike speech. Question number 168. Which Amazon EC2 pricing model is dynamically adjusted in response to EC2 instance availability and demand? So the options are A, on-demand instances, B, reserved instances, C, spot instances, and D, convertible reserved instances. So the correct answer here is option C, which is spot instances. Next, question number 169. Which service should a client utilize to integrate and manage several Amazon Web Services accounts centrally? So we have options. Option A, AWS IAM. Option B, AWS Organizations. Option C, AWS Schema Conversion Tool. And option D is AWS Config. So the correct answer here is option B, which is AWS Organization. Next, question number 170. Which AWS service or tool can be used to capture information about inbound and outbound traffic in an Amazon VPC? So we have options. Option A, VPC flow logs. Option B, Amazon Inspector. Option C, VPC endpoint services. And option D is NAT gateway. So the correct answer here is option A, which is VPC flow logs. Next, question number 171. Which component must be attached to a VPC to enable inbound internet access? So we have options. Option A, NAT gateway. Option B, VPC endpoint. Option C, VPN connection. And option D is internet gateway. So the correct answer here is option D, which is internet gateway. So if you want to enable inbound internet access, so we need to attach internet gateway to our VPC. Next, question number 172. Which pricing model would result in maximum Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, which is Amazon EC2, savings for a database server that must be online for 1 year? So we have options. Option A, spot instance. Option B, on-demand instance. Option C, partial upfront reserve instance. And option D is no upfront reserve instance. So the correct answer here is option C, which is partial upfront reserved instance. Next, Question number 173. A company has a MySQL database running on a single Amazon EC2 instance. The company now requires higher availability in the event of an outage. Which set of tasks would meet this requirement? So we have options. Option A, add an application load balancer in front of the EC2 instance. Option B, configure EC2 auto recovery to move the instance to another availability zone. Option C, migrate to Amazon RDS and enable multi-AZ. And option D is enable termination protection for the EC2 instance to avoid outage. So the correct answer here is option C, which is migrate to Amazon RDS and enable multi-AZ. Next, question number 174. A company wants to ensure that AWS Management Console users are meeting password complexity requirements. How can the company configure password complexity? So we have options. Option A, using an AWS IAM user policy. Option B, using an AWS organizations service control policy. Option C, using an AWS IAM account password policy. And option D is using an AWS Security Hub managed insight. So the correct answer here is option C, which is using an AWS IAM account password policy. Next, question number 175. Under the AWS shared responsibility model, which of the following is the customer's responsibility? So we have seen many questions before also regarding shared responsibility model. So let's see the options. Option A is patching guest OS and applications. Option B, patching and fixing flaws in the infrastructure. Option C, physical and environment controls. And option D, configuration of AWS infrastructure devices. So the correct answer here is option A, which is patching guest OS and applications. Next, question number 176. Which of the following tasks is required to deploy a PCI compliant workload on AWS? So we have options. Option A is use any AWS service and implement PCI controls at the application layer. Option B, use an AWS service that is in scope for PCI compliance and raise an AWS support ticket to enable PCI compliance at the application layer. Option C is use any AWS service and raise an AWS support ticket to enable PCI compliance on that service. And option D is use an AWS service that is in scope for PCI compliance and apply PCI controls at the application layer. So the correct answer here is option D, which is use an AWS service that is in scope for PCI compliance and apply PCI controls at the application layer. Next, question number 177. A company is building an application that requires the ability to send, store, and receive messages between the application components. The company has another requirement to process messages in first out order. Which AWS service should the company use? So we have options. Option A is AWS Step Functions. Option B is Amazon Simple Notification Service, which is Amazon SNS. Option C is Amazon Kinesis Data Streams. And option D is Amazon Simple Queue Services, which is SQS. So the correct answer here is option D, which is Amazon Simple Queue Service, which is Amazon SQS. Next, question number 178. A company purchased B Corporation. Both companies use AWS resources and A company wants a single aggregated bill. Which option allows A company to receive a single bill? So we have options. Option A is B Corp must submit a request to its AWS Solution Architect or AWS Technical Account Manager to link the accounts and consolidated bills. Option B is a company must create a new support case in the AWS Support Center requesting that both bills be combined. Option C, send an invitation to join the organization from A company's or AWS organization's master account to B Corp. D, migrate the B Corp VPC, Amazon EC2 instances and other resources into the A company AWS account. So the correct answer here is option C, which is send an invitation to join the organization from A company's AWS organization's master account to B Corp. Next, question number 179. Which tool can be used to create alerts when the actual and forecasted cost of AWS services exceeds a certain threshold? So we have options. Option A is Cost Explorer. Option B is AWS Budgets. Option C is AWS Cost and Usage Report. And option D is AWS CloudTrail. So the correct answer here is option B, which is AWS Budgets. Next, question number 180. A user has limited knowledge of AWS services but wants to quickly deploy a scalable Node.js application in the AWS cloud. Which service should be used to deploy the application? So we have options. Option A is AWS CloudFormation. Option B is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Option C, Amazon EC2. And option D is AWS OpsWorks. So the correct answer here is option B, which is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. So that's all for the video. Thank you for watching and please do not forget to subscribe the channel and like the video. Thank you. See you in the next one.